Hey guys, it's Funbot28. So I kind of wanted to start a new project here on YouTube where I would basically start discussing other metagames on Smogon and like kind of just like create, I wanted to create a series that would basically discuss and like I would explain like popular other metagames that are currently being played on Smogon. Just to be like a useful tool for new players. And yeah, so the first metagame I wanted to talk about is Mix and Mega, as it's been quite a popular metagame throughout Generation 6 and is making a comeback in Generation 7 as it gained a new permaladder on the main server of Pokemon Showdown. So yeah, I wanted to talk about Mix and Mega first. So first, I just wanted to kind of explain what are other metagames for new players that are interested. Other metagames are different metagames created by community members on Smogon. So basically, a player can submit their own unique and creative idea to other metagame moderators such as the Immortal and Skipinion. And they could approve or disapprove this idea based on the uniqueness and creativeness and etc. And if they approve, you could post a thread of your metagame on the other metagame subforum on Smogon, and like players can discuss your metagame and stuff like that. And other metagames, the whole purpose of them is to alter the original game by changing or adding a new game mechanic. And examples of this is with, let's say, almost on any ability, where we have the player can now like give a Pokemon any ability. Well, some of them are banned, that's why it's called almost any ability. And let's say another example, we have like stat bonds, where a Pokemon is like now able to gain access to all the moves of its respective types. So let's say an example, we have Keldeo that has access to all water and fighting moves now, on top of its like original move pool. So those are just examples of like altering game mechanics and stuff like that. But other metagames does not create new Pokemon, abilities, moves, or items. So if a player would like to like create new things or add new things into the game, this is not quite what the purpose of another metagame is. And but there are like stuff like this that cater to this type of like creation, with the Cap project, which basically is a project called Create a Pokemon, which is where Smogon members kind of like create a Pokemon from the ground up, and like they have their own little metagames surrounded by all these Pokemon that they created. So that's there. There's also pet mods, which basically allow players to create new abilities, moves, or items for already existing Pokemon, and they could kind of create their metagames based on that. So other options are available. Popular OMs game permanent ladders on Pokemon Showdown. This is based off of like player activity, thread contribution, like other projects, how many players are actually interested into your other metagame. So yeah, there's that. But if your metagame is small and like doesn't have that much activity, there's still a chance for it to gain a ladder on Smogon, to be added on the main server of Pokemon Showdown through the other metagame of the month, where OM players can vote for a metagame to gain a ladder on the main Pokemon Showdown server for that respective month, which could help gain player activity for your metagame. So what is Mix and Mega? Mix and Mega is like an Uber-based format, which basically the whole the main mechanic change is with that like fully evolved non-Ubers Pokemon are allowed to Mega Evolve through the use of any released Mega Stone, gaining the stat boost, abilities, and typings given by the stone. So an example of this is, let's say if I give a Pinsirite to an Entei. The Entei is now able to Mega Evolve through the Pinsirite, so the Pinsirite is not just restricted only on being able to be used on Pinsir, but now Entei can use it as well. And Entei will Mega Evolve and gain the stat boost from the Pinsirite, the typing, and the ability, right? So Now Entei will be a fire and flying type, have the ability Aerolate, and will gain the stat boost from Pinsright, which, you know, creates like fun and new tools, right? You're allowed to Mega Evolve more than once, so this basically means that all your 6 Pokemon on your team can Mega Evolve, you know, just to allow all these fun stuff to be used more often. You're only allowed to use 2 of the same Mega Stone per team, so basically you're only allowed to use like 2 Sableye per team, only like 2 Slowbro per team, stuff like that, right? Mega Stones that are unattainable in Sun and Moon are not allowed to be used in Mix and Mega, so stuff like Altarionite, Ampharocyte, Septolite, they're not allowed to be used, unfortunately, in this iteration of Mix and Mega, due to Game Freak not releasing these stones to be available to be used in Sun and Moon, so which is kind of unfortunate, but it's kind of a restriction that we have to follow. So hopefully Game Freak releases these stones soon. Certain Mega Stones are restricted to certain Pokemon, so let's say the Kangaskhanite, and certain Pokemon are banned from Mega Evolving, like basically Ubers such as Xerneas or Power Constrict Zygarde, to kind of preserve metagame balance. So like example of like this is that, let's say if like Current Black was able to hold like a Kangaskhanite, it would be absolutely insane, because not only does it have such a high attack stat now due to already it having like high natural attack plus the boost from Kangaskhanite, but now like it has Parental Bond and could like hit twice per turn and could like just destroy everything. So yeah, no, we won't allow that. And also Ubers are not allowed to Mega Evolve, just to kind of like, because the whole metagame is to kind of like give OU mons like a power boost and kind of like fit in with Ubers, so yeah, that's the whole purpose of that. So now I'll be talking about like key metagame threats, stuff that you should watch out for, stuff that you may like incorporate on your teams when building for this metagame. So the first one we have is Primal Groudon, and players familiar with Ubers, the Ubers tier, I think already know that Primal Groudon is like a force to be reckoned with in that metagame, in that tier, and is no slouch in Mix and Mega as well. Primal Groudon can be used on like any team, any playstyle. It really doesn't matter. It's just that good. It has so many sets it could run. Like I listed 3 here, but there's like honestly like so much more sets it could run. Like it's insane. But these are like the 3 most common sets I've seen and that I use personally. With the first set being like a support set, which basically allows Primal Groudon to be like especially defensive tank, which is nice because it's typing, bulk, and ability that complements it well, allows it to blanket check many common threats such as Xerneas, Primal, Kyogre, Golisopod, stuff like that. The next set it could run is like an offensive setup set, which basically uses like Rock Polish and Sword Stance to become like an offensive sweeper and could sweep opposing teams now due to these stat boosts, and could become quite menacing to face. It's kind of used on hyper offensive teams and some balanced teams as well. And the last set is like a mixed Rock Polish set, which kind of functions as the offensive setup set, but also hits from the special side as well to kind of get past physical walls such as Skarmory, or like sometimes hit Powder on as well, depends. So yeah. So Regigigas is another threat that was introduced in this iteration of Sun and Mix and Mega, because it was unbanned and is now able to Mega Evolve through the use of the Mega Stones, with its 3 most common stones being Metagrossite, Aerodactylite, and Pinsirite. And it is such a threat due to it having already natural high base stats, and now that these Mega Stones could already boost those already high natural stats, plus making it getting rid of its like useless ability and slow start, and giving it actually good abilities that benefit it. The main moves I see it run is usually Return, Drain Punch, Ice Punch, or Earthquake, but there's other options as well. So yeah, Regigigas is such a huge threat to deal with and must be accounted for on every single team. Golisopod is a new Pokemon that was introduced in Sun and Moon and is a new threat in a mix and metagame. The main item it runs is Blue Orb, and it runs the offensive Sword Stance set with this item. Usually runs Liquidation, Leech Life, Aqua Jet, and Sword Stance. And Golisopod is such a threat due to the fact that Blue Orb calls the Heavy Rain, which boosts its water type attacks. And which means, and since like Golisopod already has like such a high attack stat, such great natural like bulk on both ends, and has a pretty good defensive typing, this means that Golisopod could find many opportunities to set up and just wreak havoc on the opponent's team thanks to the priority it gains with Aqua Jet boosted in the Heavy Rain. Genesect is another Pokemon that was unbanned, is now able to Mega Evolve with these Mega Stones, which means that it became a threat once more. The main Mega Stone it would want to run is Pitsrite due to the fact that it gives it Aerolate, which means that its normal type moves will be boosted and become flying type moves, and it also becomes a bug flying type. So this means, and the two common sets of runs really, it's like the mixed all-out attacker set and the offensive shift gear set. And the first one I want to talk about, the mixed all-out attacker set is such a threat due to the fact that it hits hard on both the physical and special attacking spectrum thanks to its Extreme Speed and Technological Blast being boosted by Aerolate. The offensive shift gear set is also quite a nuisance due to the fact that, you know, Extreme Speed again is boosted by Aerolates, which means that revenge killing it could be quite a difficult task due to the attack and speed raises. And yeah, Genesect is quite a good mod to use on offensive teams and is such a pain for defensive teams to handle. Manaphy is yet again another Pokemon that was able, now like unbanned and now able to Mega Evolve with the use of the Mega Stones. And the main item it would run is Absolite. Due to Absolite's kind of remedying its like average speed, it's not the lowest, it's not the highest. So, but Absolite fixed that. It gives it quite a good speed boost, which means that like tail ghost sleds become really good. Due to the fact that like in one turn of tail ghost setup, Manaphy could become like such a heavy hitter and such a difficult mod to stop, with the main 3 coverage moves it could run being Surf, Ice Beam, or either Psychic or Energy Ball depending on what Manaphy needs to take out on your team. So if you do not carry like a specific like answer to this, like really Manaphy could steamroll through your team. Like the most common answer like I've seen is like really just especially defensive Primal Groudon, but like even after one tail will raise, Ice Beam 2-hit kills Primal Groudon after Stealth Rock. So yeah. So now I want to talk about like a more defensive threat, it being Blissey. Blissey is like such a staple in the mix and metagame due to the fact that stones such as Sableye and Slowbro boosting its abysmal defense stat to quite respectable levels. The first set I want to talk about is the defensive cleric set, which is such a nice bulky pivot on like balance and stall teams due to the fact that, you know, Sableye boosts both the defense and special defense to good levels and gives it an amazing ability in Magic Bounce, which means that it could just block out, you know, opposing hazards and like status moves such as Taunt. And with this set it could just wish pass with and pass like such high HP wishes due to the fact that it has like a Titanic HP stat, and also could become a cleric with Heal Bell and stuff like that. The next set is the defensive Calm Mind set with Slowbro, and Slowbro boosts the user's defense stat by 70 points, which is like amazing, and also gives the user the Shell Armor ability, which means that the user can be critted, right? So this means that defensive Calm Mind set for Blissey becomes quite viable due to the fact that it now has quite good defense stat and could just boost with Calm Mind and like does not care about being critted. And if the opposing team doesn't have like a specific answer to this, like Blissey can actually sweep through teams, and it's a nice win con for stall teams and some balanced teams, so yeah, it's good. Now the last thread I would like to talk about is Cresselia, which is currently being suspected at the moment. So it's kind of up in the air if it's actually going to stay and like be allowed to Mega Evolve or not, but like I still want to talk about it due to the fact that it's being suspected. So the main set that made it kind of suspect worthy is the defensive Calm Mind set with Sableye. And like I said before, like Sableye just boosts both the defense and special defense to like really good levels and gives it the amazing magic bounce ability, which again blocks like hazards and status moves such as like, you know, Toxic and Taunt, which means that like a Calm Mind set for Cresselia becomes quite good due to the fact that it cannot like now it can't be like forced to not set up anymore through the means of like Taunt and Toxic, right? So it could just set up and become such a difficult mod to deal with due to the fact that after a couple boosts and due to it having like great bulk already, it becomes so such a nuisance to take it down. So, and that's like the main argument for the pro ban side, being that like you need specific answers to actually deal with it, like stuff being like mold breaker status, like mold breaker Toxic really, or like stuff like Perish Trap Mega Gengar, which again is kind of iffy if the Cresselia is running Psyshock instead of Toxic. But the anti-ban side kind of states that there are a few things that are able to 2-hit kill Cresselia after the Sableye boosts. Stuff being like Ladle Light, Cure Black, or like Lucarinite, Kartana, stuff like that they're able to actually 2-hit kill Cresselia, which means that it can't really set up as easily. Another argument is that like Moonlight is kind of an iffy recovery move because it has such a low PP stat, like PP in 8, right? So it can only be used 8 times, and such that like it's kind of situational due to the fact that it recovers less in certain weather settings, which means that it could become unreliable at times due to it not healing as much as Cresselia wants it to heal. So yeah, that's Cresselia. Now this is like a chart of like common Pokemon I see on specific playstyles that I kind of wanted to talk about. So the first playstyle in Hyper Fence kind of relies on like stacking like many heavy hitters that don't really have that much bulk. It's just really just to like hit the opponent hard, not really rely on like defensive pivots or like walls and such, things like that. So common Pokemon on Hyper Fence, there's things like Pheromosa, Weavile, Tapu Koko, Deoxys A, like just stuff like that, like glass cannons really. And it can be so difficult to deal with Hyper Fence if the opponent pressures you right. So yeah. And the next place I want to talk about is Balance, which is kind of in between in the sense that it carries kind of like each role. So let's say Balance usually runs like 1 or 2 heavy hitters, 1 or 2 bulky pivots, and like maybe 1 or 2 walls at times. So it's kind of like a mixture of all these kind of like roles in a sense. So common Pokemon you could see on Balance being like Zapdos, Golisopod, Ferrothorn, Ho-Ho, Magearna, due to it like having great like pivot uses, stuff like that, stuff that like are bulky but also kind of hit hard. That's the main purpose of Balance. Finally, we have Stall, which is like kind of like the opposite of Hyper Offense in the sense that it relies solely on like defensive Pokemon to, as the name suggests, stall out the opposing team. So the main core that Stall kind of likes to use is the classic Skarmory core that I believe is like the best defensive core in Mixed Mega, due to Skarmory and Blissey just synergizing extremely well with each other, covering each other's weaknesses really well, and yeah, it's just like the hallmark core to use for Stall in Mixed Mega. Next we have, like I said, I talked about before, Cresselia being like the best win con for Sol with its calm mindset. I also like using Mega Gengar because it's kind of cool to, it has niche in trapping specific Pokemon that could be troublesome for Sol to deal with its Perish Trap set, which is really nice for Sol at times. Next we also have stuff like Arceus Water being a nice like hazard remover. Even I sometimes see like Alolan Muck being nice to deal with Psychic Spam, you know, because Psychic Terrain is such a difficult playstyle to deal with at times with the Deoxys A under it. And again, I just want to note that yes, I have Primal Groudon in each of these playstyles. Like as I said at the beginning, Primal Groudon could be used on any team, any playstyle, it doesn't really matter. So like Primal Groudon works on all of these playstyles, so that's why I didn't really mention it. So yeah. Here are some like useful links that I will link in the description box that you can use to kind of like integrate yourself into the Mix and Mega metagame. So the main thread is used to kind of just discuss like defensive cores or like you know, metagame trends, suspect discussion, like just main discussion on the metagame in general. There's also, I will link a useful article. It talks about the Gen 6 iteration of Mix and Mega, but it still talks about the nooks and crannies of Mix and Mega, which also just kind of apply to Gen 7 Mix and Mega. I'll link that down below. Now, the viability rankings aren't up yet, but from what I know, they're going to be up soon, and it's a great tool to kind of know like what kind of works, what kind of doesn't, like which mons you should like consider on your team, which mons are not that viable. So it's a great tool, and yeah, they're not up yet, but they will be up really soon. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and let me know if you like these type of videos. I'm planning to do more on other popular metagames, such as, let's say, Almost Any Ability, or like Sketch Mons, or like Balance Type Mons, Monotype, stuff like that, popular OMs that I would like to kind of just explain in further in depth. And yeah, I really encourage you guys to try out the Mix and Mega metagame if you haven't already. It's a really fun metagame, really encourages creativity, you know, good like playing, like it rewards good playing in a sense. And yeah, I really appreciate for you guys watching. If you could leave a like, comment if you like, criticism. It's my first time doing this, but yeah. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.